Hi, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. It's Naija Seniors again, and today we will be looking at widowhood with senior citizens. My name is Wanola Akintola. I am a mental health educator, passionate about mental well-being for all ages at every stage of our lives. And with me today is Busola Shogbamimu. Busola, tell
Good
us what you
morning,
do.
good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. My name, as Wona said, is Busola Shubamimu. I'm an elderly inclusion advocate here in Nigeria. Everything and anything that has to do with Nigerian seniors being included in the workplace, at home, in society, count me in. It's all about the transition, the lifestyle, and the legacy. So back to you, Wonu. Let's talk about today.
Okay, so today we'll be looking at widowhood. What does it spell for an elderly person? We could see it as a time when someone then becomes lonely, but truth be said, it varies for each person. And for some, it could be a time of relief where the spouse is now, who's been unwell for a long time, is now at rest. No more pain, no more stress, no more uncertainty. There's more clarity. It's a new season. Now, for the person left behind, even though some stress is over, it's another season of a different kind of stress. And scenarios we could think about is all the children have left home. Yes, it is globalization era. Jobs could take you anywhere in the world. You got one child in Singapore, another one in France, and they've all come for the funeral. They've been so supportive. Everybody is impressed. They've gathered around the parents who's left behind, but they all have to go back to their lives because they now all have responsibilities. I mean, it's even more challenging where it's just the one child who's living, so far away. But that leaves a parent whose life is now destabilized, who's now lonely, who the closest person they had in their lives has now gone. And we all know the challenges that loneliness brings. So, how do we support elderly people in this new season of life, in this season of widowhood? So, the loneliness is one bit. There are other things that may come to mind. What about widowhood practices? Busola, you mentioned some of the things that we are aware of. Would you like to kind of share some practices that we know are very unhealthy? And this is some kind of honest
Yeah.
sick to hear.
Um, yeah. Like you said, it's an emotionally trying period. It's
Mm,
and when you said that, the picture that came to my mind was when my dad passed and we all came home. We all came home, did what we had to do, and everybody going back. But my mom was like an automated machine during that period. How she did it, only God knows. But the moment everything went, she was like a sudden dream, and she became quite cranky
mm,
because all the energy that came was just gone. So what we did then, I think, was to say no, we need. But even at that, I remember meeting her up at the airport, and she wasn't the same person. She was she was lean. I felt like crying, and this is because no matter what kind of relationship that has been, this is a person that has been closest to you. This is somebody you spent your youth with. This is somebody you said I do to. This is somebody that you had family, children,
mm.
grew up, make decisions. And all of a sudden, that person is gone. Whether male or female, that person is gone. And some of the practices that we need to, in some cultures, when you mentioned that they could be made to drink the water from bathing the dead person. Ah, Ejo. Mm.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Popo is plenty. That
Mm,
one is plenty, you know. So we don't
mm.
know like the different things that could be happening. Which one of them is actually healthy, considering the fact that partner that's remaining now, that's still alive, is going through a traumatic experience. It's going through an emotionally draining, different things going on in their head, different thoughts. How are they going to move on? Do you know, when death happens, most of the time it's not even planned. So when this happens, what do we do? So that's what we're talking about today. Widowhood practices. How healthy is it? So
Yeah.
we're saying, I don't know, what experience do you have of, I mean, what culture
I mean,
excites you of?
there are all kinds of practices that one hears about. I can't say I'm aware of as many as there are, but you hear, I mean, one could look at it at different aspects. Is it the cultural beliefs that and the practices like what we said about drinking the water that's been used to wash the corpse? That's one. But the isolation as well. You've got to stay away or stay in the village alone for so many days, which, you're away from everyone. And sometimes you need that period, but how healthy is it? What about the financial aspect where sometimes the spouse is made to not hold
Surrender.
on to anything, surrender everything that belongs to the deceased, whether they work for it together or not, whether it's actually even really it was all earned by her and he was only a beneficiary because he was the spouse. When the spouse goes on, the family may deny the person left behind of any belongings, so causing unnecessary hardship. So all of that just makes life even harder. And I think it all takes us back to awareness, awareness of unhealthy practices, awareness of the cultural practices that affect widows, especially elderly widows who don't have a voice, and to encourage us to be the voice for the elderly, for our senior citizens, to be an advocate, to call out these practices, challenge them. I know people who have stood against these things and said, no, this is not going to happen, not even for their own relatives, for friends. I know someone who said, they said the friend said, this is not going to happen. They were going to shave the woman's hair and keep her in isolation for 40 days. I said, you can't stay alone with all that's going on. The people around you don't even have your best interest at heart. So you're going back with me to the city. The poor woman didn't have a voice, and had it not been for her friend who stood for her, who knows, her mental health could have deteriorated. And where would she have ended? So it's calling out, calling out. The key back again is awareness, awareness, awareness. Please let's speak up. Let's call it out.
Thank you. And then also, before we finish, I remember then that a family had called because they were looking to for a place to put their mom. Everybody is moved on. Mama is back in our, in our own village, in our comfort zone. It's her space, it's her house. And there was nothing that was going to take her away from the house. However, that none of the children were with her. But neighbors will call the children in the city and say, we found Mama in the marketplace. So she was wearing one wrapper on top of another one that was different. We found Mama, she didn't even know her way back home, So different indicators that, there was something wrong there. So the children, being anxious, of course, made arrangements to bring Mama back to their place in the city. But Mama was not going to have it. Why? Because she had all girls. And that was the first time I would even hear of this one. She had all girls, and she believed that if she passes on in her in-laws' house, she's going to be thrown out the window, that because she's an in-law. So there was no way she was going to go into her daughter's house because she didn't want to be thrown out the window when she's dead. Because they believe that if you're an in-law, they don't take you through the door. A journal. Eh?
So it's challenging these things. We need to call it out, challenge it, increase the awareness of the unhealthy behaviors and intervene on behalf of the elderly. Yeah.
So everything that you find, anything that you know that we've never heard of, let us know. Tell us. The email address is below. Let us know, and let's find a way of doing something about it. Let's make our future for the seniors, for ourselves, a better one. So on that note, we say thank you and good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you.